Okay, sometimes there is just way too much data to treat as a single entry, and it's necessary to group the data into class intervals. So if we look here, we asked 40 people about the amount of TV they watched. There's the results. Looks like the least amount of TV someone watched may have been 5 hours. And the most amount at a very quick look is 29 hours. So if I actually had to do my table like 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, 9 hours, going right down to 29 hours, that actually would be a really big, long table. So what we do is we group it. So anyone that watches between 5 up to not including 10 hours of TV goes in this group. This is 10 up to not including 15 hours, 15 hours up to not including 20 hours, etc. So we've grouped them into bunches. So I'll just do the first few as an example. So this person's watched 12 hours of TV. That tally would go in there because 12 is between 10 and 15 hours. The next person watched 18, it would go in there because 18 is in between 15 and up to and not including 20. 9 hours would go in that group. 17 hours would go in that group. 20 hours would go here because this one is 15 up to not including 20, whereas this one is 20 up to not including 25. So 7 hours goes in this one, and so on and so forth. I don't think I need to go through every one, so let's pretend I have done them all, and we add up, if you like, the tallies that we do in there. So there'd be 9 in there. When I did it properly, there would have been 7 in there. If I'd done it all, there would have been 10 in there, 8 in there, and 6 in there. So just imagine I've gone through the whole list, putting my tallies in, then I add my tallies up. It said we asked 40 people, so we need to add these up down here to see if that adds up to 40. So 9 plus 7 is 16, 26, 34, 40. Yes, it does. So that is how we put data when there is too much data to do as a single entry. We put them into a group. There's just an extra column that we include that will help us later on when we look at analysing this data, and that's the midpoint. So the midpoint is the point in the middle of here. So the point in the middle of 5 to 10 is 7.5. How I work that out, I just did 5 plus 10, which was 15, and divided by 2, 7.5. So this one, I do 10 plus 15 is 25, divided by 2, 12.5. 15 plus 20, 35, divided by 2, 17.5. I can actually see a pattern here. It's going up in 5s. So I can just fill the pattern in. So we've organised this data into the table. We've shown the midpoint. So that's what the first part of the question asks. With the second part of the question, comment on the distribution of the data. My comment would be that the TV viewing times are fairly evenly spread. They're fairly evenly distributed. But the most frequent, we could probably comment the most frequent hours per week viewing was here. Between 15 up to not including 20, 10 out of the 40 watch that. So that's the type of comment we could make about this.